Hey viewers, and welcome back to Exhaust Notes Australia. My name's Dan, and this has been one of those fun weekends where I've finally been given the keys to the MG Cyberster, their fully electric roadster and new halo car for the brand. The MG design team have taken a lot of inspiration, obviously from their own 100 years of heritage in racing, the MGB. Now obviously MG isn't as English as they used to be, but the design was certainly penned in England, and there's certainly a lot of influences coming together. But I think they come together pretty well. I've found it pretty hard to find a bad angle of this car. Whilst we are talking about an all-wheel drive, dual motor sports roadster, we do have some decent Brembo brakes sitting behind the wheels here as well. 20-inch wheels in this stylish look on the all-wheel drive version. The recently announced rear-wheel drive version comes with 19s and a slightly different style. And keeping up with the performance side of this car, MG have put two 4.5s on the front and two 7.5 Pirelli P0 tyres on the rear. The rear design is probably where it's the most fussy, with these arrows and everything, the taillight supposedly representing the Union Jack of England. But they kind of grow on you, and they don't look too bad at night with the indicators forming another arrow in there. It's certainly been a talking point, but no one has actually come away and saying it looks ugly. So what do you think? Boot space is all of 249 litres. It's obviously not going to be massive for a car of this size, and you have to consider the roof. Quite a high line here to lift over. There's no handles for pulling the boot back down again, and it is quite shallow, though you could probably get some smaller suitcases in there. There is a floor here, but there's a lot of dead space, probably for batteries and things, and a tyre repair kit. That's about it. There's no handle here for pulling the boot back down, so be careful when closing it. And you might think with all of this room under the bonnet, there'd be some space to put something, but there is no frunk here. It is just purely removable covers that don't remove very well to get to different maintenance parts. Maybe a bit of a missed opportunity there. Of course, one of the issues with this sort of car is that it does have scissor doors, which do create a sense of drama when getting in and out. But after a while, it does seem to become a little bit tedious. Now, climbing into the MG Cyberster is not the easiest thing to do, but you can get in fairly well underneath these doors. There's plenty of buttons to operate the doors. There's the external ones. There's some up here and also in the middle console. Inside's really comfortable. You do sit quite low, even though there are batteries in the floor, but it does still feel like a sports car. We have the wraparound cockpit screens, which is a little bit overkill, and I would have preferred some tactile buttons in the center console for sure. It's all touch screens. Very modern, of course, but I think we're calling out to have some actual buttons. And lowering the door, now inside is definitely a place comfortable enough for two people. MG haven't tried to add an extra two seats in the back there. In fact, that's where your MG bag for your charging cables is kept. You could put a few other knickknacks behind there, and you do have an actual glove box. This whole interior feel is nice. Obviously very driver focused, the way the screens are aimed towards you, the grab handle, a Corvette Jaguar F-Type sort of inspired here works well. All of your controls, a bit of an interesting gearbox selector layout, but it works. Sports inspired steering wheel, a couple of elements coming from the MG parts bin, but that's okay. Everything else feels nice, quality, sporty in here. My main complaint would be that some of these screens are a little too small, and some of it doesn't work too well ergonomically, particularly when you hit the reverse camera and it comes up on the right screen here. It's not logically where your eyes would go, and with your Android Auto display here, if you have maps and say your YouTube music or something, this becomes a very tiny display to look at, but it's not the aim of the car, so I can sort of give it a pass for that. At 182 centimeters tall, I was worried about how I'd fit in here, but even with the roof up, I can fit pretty well. I probably would say though it's going to work for people shorter than this height, as I kind of felt a bit of a neck ache, so I don't know if I'm subconsciously kind of leaning down just a bit, because my hair is definitely in the roof when it's up, and also just my line of vision is pretty much in line with the top of the windscreen here. So that's something you've got to be aware of. The seat is as low as it'll go. It is really fun to drive, but it just may not be the most comfortable option for taller drivers. Anyway, I think it's time we hit the road. Let me just put the roof up so you can see it from in here. Okay, so inside the MG Cyberster is a really nice place actually, even for a sports car. We are low down to the ground, even with the batteries in the floor, able to stretch out quite a bit. These seats are also just super comfortable for what they are. They're not the most sporty, but they hold you in. We have the red and black interior here, which goes with the overall theme of the car, of course. You can also get them in a white and grey. Now I've got the roof up at the moment, and as mentioned, so my hair is in the roof. We've had some really interesting weather lately, but I think we can get away with having the roof down for a little bit of this review, hopefully, as that is the whole point of having this car. You can also retract the roof, or put it up to at least about 50 k's an hour, so that's handy if you are on the go. But let's get the roof up now. So the GoPro affected that window there. I didn't realize the windows came all the way down. Now, it is an electric car, so it makes no noise. And so one of the options you do have is whether you want to synthesize noise or no noise at all. And MG gives you three choices for that. We've got what they've dubbed the fake engine sound, so it actually sounds like a motor. You can have a more electronic version, which is a bit more futuristic sounding. Didn't quite like that one as much. Or you can have nothing, which is the pure experience of the car, but I don't know, I think I still want some sound. So even though it's artificial, it actually isn't that bad, I'm going to say. You know, being an EV, you do have also the option of regen, of course. You can have one pedal drive mode, so just stop there without even touching the brake pedal. Not exactly sports car vibes, but it's a perk of being an EV. If you put it into sport mode, which you can do via the paddles here, you do lose the one pedal drive mode, but you still have a bit of regen. And I do like that the left button, which adjusts the amount of regen you have, is actually called KERS, which, you know, is obviously very race sports inspired. Alright, so as we're going to come onto a major road, I might put it into sport once we get the green light, just to see how it goes there. You can change your display, obviously, things like that. Customize all that through your driver setup. We're still in comfort here. What I'll do is we're sitting here, we can activate the 360 camera. So you'll see it comes up on the right side, which is not where your eyes are likely to be. And I think this is where it's failed a bit in its translation from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. Obviously, if it was a left-hand drive car, your eyesight's going to be looking there as you're maneuvering. Anyway, you still have a fair few options there. It's just a bit small and it's just a bit out of the way. You can pull up the weather and stuff like that. Are we about to get a green light maybe? Yes. So we're in sport, up to 80. It holds on. And we very quickly pass the speed limit. I'm glad that MG have put some decent tyres on this thing because it needs it, but it is so much fun. Obviously, it's an EV. Obviously, it's going to be quick. 0 to 100 in 3.2 seconds. I think that's with Super Sport on, but even in normal sport mode, it's lightning fast. And we can give it another go here. And that never gets boring. That push that it gives you, it's just a lot of fun. Now, of course, we have to address, this is MG's Halo car. It is $115,000 recommended price there, with a few of the extra options here. Drive away, I think we're at about $122,000, and there is now talk of a hardtop version. So I'm wondering if the rear-wheel drive version could be a slightly more fun version to have. Obviously, it's a little bit down on power because it only has the rear motor, but the power is going just to the rear wheels, so I think that could work quite well. It'd certainly be worth a try. I'd be interested if MG throw us the keys to one of those, just as a comparison. But we do love having the roof down, of course, and the weather is holding for us at the moment. And what I like about it is that, yes, it's a sports car, yes, it's a roadster, but it is smooth. And I don't mean just as an EV, but driving along here, the suspension tune's really good. The wheels, even though they're 20s, really comfortable ride at the moment. I think this fills the role of a decent GT. It's a Grand Tourer, just to sit back, relax, and just enjoy the drive. And I think that's what the original MGB was all about too. This car is nailing all of those criteria, and I gotta say, this car just gets looks from everyone. It's a showstopper. I gotta think it's been a big conversation starter. A lot of people just asking about it. What is it? How fun is it to drive? So it is definitely putting MG on the map. People don't even seem to be too bothered that it's an EV. Certainly car enthusiasts are, and a lot of people think that had MG put a combustion engine in this, it would probably sell a few more units. But I think they're making a statement here. They've been the first manufacturer to bring an EV roadster to market. They've beaten Tesla at it, and they've done a good job here. A lot of people have mentioned they're seeing a lot of different influences once they realize it's an MG. They're seeing Ferrari in the overall look. They're seeing Aston Martin in the rear haunches and how that's styled. McLaren comes up. Jaguar, of course, the F-Type. This layout here is very F-Type inspired, and Corvette, even if you look at the latest. We just don't have the buttons down here. This gear layout, I suppose, is also very Corvette-like. So the influences have come from all around to bring us this very unique car for the brand, but it is a return to their roots, which I think should be appreciated for sure. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's not really an MG, oh, they're Chinese owned now and things like that, and yes, that's true. And they've had to sell a lot of those small SUVs and consumer goods kind of cars to make this happen. But I definitely think we need to appreciate and celebrate that MG have done this. And I think we should be beyond the point now where something being made in China is seen as a bad thing, because Chinese car manufacturers have come from nowhere in a very short amount of time. And the level that they're at now, it is definitely not something we should be shunning anymore. Now, it's a very well-equipped car for the kind of car it is. You're not going to be taking it to the shops every day, but you do have nearly 250 litres of boot space in case you do. It is wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which could be seen as a bit of a downer. MG have thought of that and have this really nice little slot for your phone to sit in whilst you plug it in, so it's pretty much out of sight anyway. And a wired connection, I think, is actually preferred, as a lot of the wireless chargers, they only seem to keep your phone from dying, and sometimes even that is questionable depending on the age of your phone and what your phone's doing. So the wired connection could be the better option in any case. I do like that it has its own navigation. So being an EV, we have to talk about the battery. It's a 77 kilowatt hour battery, and MG state that it'll do a 10 to 80% charge in about 40 minutes on a AC fast charger. Now that's not lightning quick, I'll admit. You'd be wanting that to be around 20 minutes or quicker these days. And from that, you're supposed to get about 440 odd kilometers WLTP. Real world, that's probably going to be well under 400 if I'm honest, and I charged this up to about 90% overnight before this review, and it was telling me about 390-ish kilometers out of a 90% battery. So take that into account. This is a sports roadster, so range is probably not what you're going to be getting anyway, especially if you're going to be driving it enthusiastically. Of course, it comes with MG's leading warranty, so that's 10 years and 250,000 kilometers, as long as you get it serviced by MG. But that's still a very good warranty to have, of course. Okay, so yes, we have to be doing less than 50 to put the roof up. And as we're in a 60 zone at the moment, we may not be able to do that. So let's just see how we go. I'm gonna maybe as I come up to this junction to turn. And just like that, we're done. So inside is comfortable, and with the roof up, just that little bit more, but it is really quiet. We do have MG's driver warning system in here, but it is one of the nice implementations, I've got to say. It beeps at you, but it's not overly annoying like some of the other manufacturers. It'll obviously alert you if you're a K or so over the speed limit every time you change into a new speed zone, but you just have to expect that. We have good vision as well, I have to say. The only thing on that being that when the roof's up, you do get the typical roadster issues. Big blind spot on the driver's side, not so much on the passenger. When the roof's down, that's not an issue at all. Mirrors are a little on the small side, but offer good vision. And this wraparound view it works. I was actually a bit worried when I first saw the initial images about it, and I thought, no, there's no way your hands are going to get in the way. They kind of do a little bit, but you can see enough. The thing to consider is that there's a lot of multi-menu screens here, so learning what each screen does will take a bit of time. The center stack here, again, mostly you'll be using that, I think, for your air conditioning and climate controls, but it does do other things as well, like a few of your car settings, and again, it's multi-layered, so you just need to learn where everything is, what you need to be using at what time. Don't get distracted. This area here for your demisters and your fan speed, things like that, it's a touch screen. They're not physical buttons there. And I think I'd prefer that to have just been buttons. I don't see why that had to be anything else, but there you go. We do have paddles behind the steering wheel. The right one changes you between your custom and your comfort and your sport drive modes, and you do feel the car change a bit there, and depending on what drive mode you're in, then you can use the curves button to alter the amount of regen you have. But when single pedal mode is activated, it kind of doesn't work. So we're in sport at the moment, and it gives you enough of that kick in the rear to get the car going, sending all the power to all the wheels. And it's obviously a talking point of this car. 375 kilowatts of power, 725 newton meters of torque. Those are big numbers, and pushes you to 100 in 3.2 seconds. But what I'm actually interested in is how this car is going to go around corners. And what a lot of reviewers have done, they just don't seem to be able to help themselves from comparing this to the ultimate roadster, the Mazda MX-5, and I think that is a bit unfair because this car is so much bigger than an MX-5. It's about half a meter longer size-wise, this competes more against Mustangs, the BMW Z4, and even the Jaguar F-Type. It's a large Grand Tourer that just so happens to be able to put the roof down. I'm under no illusion that this car is going to handle anywhere near the MX-5 when it comes to carving up a mountain pass. But I'm going to go to my familiar piece of road and see, because it's an all-wheel drive. We do have a very low center of gravity, and for a car that is almost 2 tons in weight, it's really not feeling like it. But I just want to see how this fares. Now, MG have been very kind, and they've given me the Cyberster in what would be my spec if I were to take one home. It's red, it's got the black highlights, the red and black interior in here is super nice as well, with that leather and Alcantara. I think this car would also look super nice in yellow, which I haven't seen one in the flesh yet. And the yellow and the red both demand a $1,200 premium over the standard price. With some of the colors, like the white and the silver, you can get a red fabric roof. Obviously, here on the red and the yellow colors, you only get the black one. I think it's good that MG don't offer you to have that, because I'm not sure how a red roof would go on those colors, if I'm perfectly honest with you. With the introduction of the rear-wheel drive version, they've also released a new color, which is Mayfair Blue. And I think that would be quite a nice color to see in the flesh. All right, we're coming into the fun bit of the review. So let's just see how it goes. Oh, that was a good run. And we're gonna go back down and do it again. This car has absolutely impressed. It hooks in. I think the battery keeping the low center of gravity has really helped it, and obviously being all-wheel drive too. It's got plenty of go, and just a lot more. I have a lot more confidence getting up and around these bends and up this hill than I thought I would have, and than I thought the car would have. So MG have sorted this really, really well. I was really expecting it to feel its weight of nearly 2 tons. It just punches its way out of the corners and it carves through them really easily. And maybe it's not the right way to be driving, but the regen definitely helps pull it up as you come into these bends. The only real thing that we're being limited by here is, well, driver ability for one, but the speed limit. It's a whole different experience from when I took the MX-5 up here, where you were reefing through the gears and you were feeling every turn and getting every ounce out of the engine. Here is effortless. The car's saying, give me more. I can do more. This is more fun than it should be. I'm really being surprised by how well this car is going. It just grabs, it just grips up. And we come in, we have these tight switchbacks here, but we're coming in and it's like, yes please, I'll have some more of that. I dread to think what omelette I'm making in the boot at the moment. Now, I think this just says that yes, EVs can be fun, and there are going to be those who are going to shun it purely because it's an EV. But this could be, there could be a niche for this. There could be the people who want their cake and to eat it too. They want an EV that they can have fun in. This is that car. It looks good and it drives so surprisingly well. And you know what? Okay, it's $115,000. Okay, it's the most expensive MG since Shanghai Automotive took over. But if you really want something different, I don't think you can do too wrong with this. Yeah, I don't think you can do wrong with this at all. Well done, MG. So there's my review of the MG Cyberster all-wheel drive. It's certainly been a surprising car and an impressive one. I've been following the Cyberster since it came to Australia on its preview tour in mid-2024. I got invited to its official launch as well. So to finally have been able to drive it has certainly ticked a lot of boxes. I've been impressed. I mean, I knew it looked good, I knew it would be fast, but I didn't expect it to impress me in the driving as well as it has. Now at $115,000, it is MG's most expensive car. It is their halo car, but I don't think you'd be too disappointed if you had room for something like this in your garage. Sure, you could get a combustion engine vehicle and arguably have a little bit more fun, but for what this offers, the first commercially available electric roadster, it's certainly up there and worthy of your consideration, I think. Big thank you for watching. A big thanks to Exhaust Notes Australia for all the opportunities, and to MG Australia for passing us the keys and for making such a fun vehicle. Until the next one, guys, stay safe.